What's up, guys? This is David with Worship Guitar Sound, and today we're introducing a brand new patch. It's the Magic Cat is what I'm calling it, and it's actually a combination of the Supro Black Magick amp, the original 112 that had, in my opinion and our opinion, the better speaker, and then a Sampson-era Bad Cat Cub 30R. And when it comes to making presets for the QC, one of the things that we really focused on was making sure that everything that we did for each preset was trying to maintain the integrity of the amp and then build the preset around that. And for us, that's pretty much how we approach dialing in tones even with real amps. And for the last probably 3 months or so, I've personally been bouncing between using real amps just so that I can get a better idea of, okay, where's the QC possibly missing and what do we need to do to supplement to get that even closer. And if you haven't already, check out our new Worship Guitar Sound Tone Cat patch that actually has the Tone King Imperial Mark II and this same Bad Cat that's going to be on this preset. And the real heart behind all these presets is really just to give people a sense of being able to go up to a Sunday and get on the platform and do their thing and not have to worry about, oh, how's this going to sound? So this is just another different flavor. We really wanted to preserve the way the amps feel and respond. So we're going to go through this preset. But the first thing I want to kind of go over first are some housekeeping rules for this preset, and probably all the ones moving forward, or any of them that you may even just find on Quad Cortex as a whole. So we're just going to pop right into Cortex control. As far as the housekeeping rules go, whether you're using a Gretsch Power Jet or even a Heritage, I have a 535 right here, or even a Tele, the first area I want you guys to focus on is the input. So with the input, with teles and single coils, I would say leave it at 0. If you're using anything that's humbuckers, probably start at 6.2, work your way down or work your way up. This way, you don't have to worry about trying to dial in everything. The whole point of this was to try to just have it be plug and play and give you videos like this that give you a resource to say, hey, here's how you manipulate what's already there and make it work for your rig without having to redo everything. Noise gate's already there, obviously adjust to taste. Input gain 6.2 for humbuckers, and for in this case, this is for the Gretsch. Now going through this, again on the tonal side, normally for single coils, I would have the high cut on and then leave everything else as is. Again, when you adjust the input, it's gonna adjust the way the compression feels and everything just thereafter. So if you just do that, you'll save yourself a ton of heartache. So going through that, we have the first block being the transpose block. I use this a lot for kind of the baritone thing a lot. And obviously feel free to get rid of the block, but I use it as indispensable for me for EG2 especially. So here's the direct sound of the guitar through just the amps. Going from there, we have the transpose block here, and I don't have this assigned to any foot switch. This typically, the way we run it is we have a preset per song, and so depending on the song, I'll use the same set of presets and then turn on or off the transpose accordingly. So in this case, it's got a, I believe, -3, which gets me real close to that baritone sound, and so this is the jet with that. Turn some verb on there for you. So yeah, that's the transpose. I can't go without it. I have to have it. The next one is the POG sound, which, you know, I feel like we've got to have that just because. And right now it's currently not assigned to a foot switch because I seldomly use it, but I wanted to keep it in there. So you guys can assign it to whichever foot switch you feel works for your workflow. But here's how the POG sounds. And I do have a little sub octave in there because if I do something that's more gained up, I can make sure that there's just a little bit of something in there to just kind of keep it feeling just really full. It sounds great. Just trying not to get too much of that organ sound was really the goal there. So moving over to the scenes here, stage one. So just really quick, I just want to show you guys. This is the Wonder Old Blue. This is kind of, to me, a better light speed because I've got the ability to control the low end and the high end separately. And there's also some different switches in the middle that just give you some more variety. But this is really unique for this preset specifically in the way it's dialed. And going into that is also the Shaver Storm, which is really cool as well. It's one of those things where I found I was like, man, this is a really cool boost to have. So that's actually the stage one, and then for the stage three is actually the Brothers AM, which is currently sitting on my board over there. And then just for reference, here's the clean tone again. And then stage one with the Schaefer. So going into stage two is actually going to be the Wonder Blue Drive, or the Old Blue. And again, has kind of that light speed thing without the over compression thing I feel like the light speed has. But again, so here's the clean sound. And here's the Wonder Blue Drive, Old Blue. Going over again to stage three, this will be the Brothers AM and the Schaefer stacked. So here's the clean tone. We're going over to delays. We're going to just pop over to stomp mode because that's kind of where I have things set for this part. We have a usual tape delay, which is really cool. Just clean traditional delay. The one thing I would say with this particular block here is if you feel like you need to get a little more warble, turn the wow up, if you will, and that'll help kind of give you more of that warble. And before we get too far, I just want to mention too, I'm going to come back to the modulation stuff because there is something under the hood there with that. Going over to dual delay, just stereo, dotted eighth, typical quarter. And then again, if we want to use the drives by themselves, here's the Storm. With the Old Blue. popping over back to scenes real quick. The one that was worth mentioning before we get to kind of the latter half of this patch is the big swell section. And that's going to be pretty much your typical like big reverb type stuff. And I use it for trem picking, but also too for just big swells. So this is what that sounds like. Pretty like clean, nothing super crazy. This is like I would say the Sunday Warrior patch, especially if you're running EG2 for this. Like it has enough mid range to really cut through the mix, but also if you need to run lead, you can, and it'll still sound really good in the mix as well. So going over to some of the extra stuff, so you'll notice I have a second path here. Actually, real quick, we'll pop over to the modulation side. So I'm not super big on modulation, but when I do use it, I want something that's going to be really, really rich. So this is the clean tone, and then I'm going to turn on the modulation. So not super crazy, but it's there. Popping over back to scene mode, this is kind of one of the, I guess you could say, three nuggets in here. One of which is going to be the tape mod, and I really like this sound because it's like kind of close thing that I could get to a lo-fi-ish sound / retro reel from line 6. So here is the clean tone. Then with the tape mod, and that was kind of meant to emulate this switch here, which I use a lot as well because it kind of has that. So that was kind of the purpose of that. With that too, there's also a reverse delay. It's currently not assigned to anything, but it's kind of a cool thing to have in there in case you need something a little more ambient with textures to build something off of. You can, because you can do that. You can also do the tape mod with that as well. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it, and I think the reverse delay in there is really cool. And then this is assigned to an expression 1 in my case. You can obviously program this however you need, or delete the block if you're running a volume pedal before your QC. Two more things. One is this compressor block here. I glazed over it earlier, but this I kind of put because there's a certain bloom that you get when you do like really big washy stuff in the context of playing, like trying to get something like a little more explosive blooming, right? And the QC by nature, if you don't already know, is very pristine. It's really clean. And so without going too far, I was like, how do we kind of degrade the sound in a way that kind of mimics the falling apart aspect of amps? So this was like a Hail Mary of trying to get that. And this will be a work in progress, but I left it in there because I still think it's really cool. And especially if you have like a stage 1 or stage 2 on this, with this on, you can do some really cool stuff with it. So here's this compressor on with some delay and drive, specifically the Wonder Gold Blue. So. One last thing, and this is kind of a fun trick for, I'd say, front of house guys, or if you're serving in a local church and mostly volunteer based, if not all volunteer based. I personally came from a small church as well, so I added an EQ block in there with like a 6.7K dip. The idea for that was just to kind of help keep things under control. If you've got a really capable sound engineer at your church, then I'd probably just send it wide open and let them handle it and deal with it however they need. And that's personally what I do on Sundays as well. So here's the difference though. And I think I have it on my last patch as well, but you can hear it, especially with like the top end. And I'll go back a stage just so you can hear the solo Dallas kind of has that harmonic like crane to it. And doing the EQ can really kind of help keep things a little more calm. So here's the tone with the solo Dallas, no EQ. And here's with the EQ. And of course, you can move that EQ however you need, but it's there. And with high gain stuff, especially, you can really hear it. EQ off. So anyway, thanks for checking this video. I'm sorry that it's long, but I feel like it's worth to go into and kind of explain the thought process behind it and kind of get rid of the mystery of like, why is it the way it is? But with that, feel free to check out the link in the description below. Drop a comment, let us know what kind of content you want to see. It's not just about making presets for us. Our heart is really for the worship community. And I'm really actually excited about this next video I'm working on about specifically EG2 stuff. But with that, I'll leave you guys with this demo of both the Tone Cat and the Magic Cat live from our Sunday service from this past Sunday.